is going on, everybody? What's happening? It is your boy, man, Maturity Servant, and I am back for another episode of Rap-Ology. I am so glad that you guys are here with me. Rap-Ology obviously is a podcast where we talk about music. We do deep dives on albums by independent artists because I try to create a platform where we can support artists so that you guys get a chance to learn about some artists that's out here and get a chance to go dive into their catalogs, check out their music, and support them. And I cannot put into words how much I appreciate the support on the first episode of Rap-Ology, the second episode of Rap-Ology, since bringing it back. Of course, the initial version of this was the Rap Shit podcast, which was correlating with the Rap Shit magazine, which was had the same goal, right? Introducing and giving independent artists a platform in a spotlight. And so we changed it to Rapology. We just brought it back. There's 2 episodes up now, and I'm just grateful for you guys supporting this and for the music heads, right? Taking a chance to sit down and deep dive with me on these projects. So let's get into this podcast. Listen, I just want to take a moment to say that if you are listening to this podcast, that means you are tapped into the Maturity Productions Network. The network, okay? That is on all podcast streaming platforms. That's your Apple, that's your Spotify, that's your Deezer, that's your iHeart, that's your Pandora, that's your everything, okay? If you listening to podcasts on something, wherever you listening to podcasts at, that is how you must be tapped in with us right now. Or, excuse me, my throat, Jesus, pause. You must be tapped in with us on YouTube, which is super dope that I get a chance to do this both audio and visual form. And if you are tapped in with us on YouTube, I appreciate you as well. You something else. So we appreciate you, man. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification button so you don't miss an episode of Rapology. You don't miss an episode of the Not Very Mature podcast with my homegirl Chisa Fierce. You don't miss an episode of the Hit Your Finisher Wrestling podcast. You don't want to miss that. And coming soon, the Immature Section podcast where we're going to have guests come on talking about stuff. You don't want to miss that. You gotta be tapped into the Maturity Productions Network on audio version podcast, all podcast streaming platforms, or check out the Maturity Productions YouTube channel for the video versions of all these podcasts and so much more. Let's go ahead and jump right into this video. So we talked about in the first imagined episode of Rapology, we talked about my double album. We talked about the first half. We talked about the double album in 2022 was Vince Mature, right? It was a double album, one half called Vince, the other half called Mature. It was 24 songs in total, 12 on each project for the double album. And we talked about the Vince portion, right? We talked about how, the Vince portion started off with me in therapy, and then the concept of that project was to get people to see a side of me, right? A more transparent side of me. It is the saga, right? It's the defining saga of the Vince versus Mature story that I had tried to build over my albums. I think the first illustration of the Vince versus Mature was an album that I did called Invincibility. And that kind of was the first chapter of that story where I was aware of who Mature was, and it was kind of like this conscious voice that was trying to get me to kind of just be led astray, right? And then there was a follow-up, right, part 2, which was the album called Say Less. Say Less was another part of that chapter, and then this double album, Vince Mature, was the this was the climax. This was the conclusion of that three-part storyline. But this had the, I guess, the most storytelling in it. I felt like the other two projects, there were hints of the storytelling, but I kind of more so just left it into the music. Whereas this one, I tried to do more skits. I tried to make sure it felt like you could understand what was going on. And so, in the first part, in Vince, I started off going to therapy in the opening song, the intro song, and I ended by saying, I just want people to know me, Vince, right? And so every song after that was giving people a new insight and a new look and a real look into who I am, how I feel, the thoughts and struggles I have, the wins and the losses, per se, right? So when we get to this project, when we get to mature, I wanted to, because I felt like Vince was giving my voice, right? I wanted to have it feel like you were listening and talking to me. So with mature, the goal was to do the exact same, but from the opposite perspective. The goal was to say, okay, how can I make mature a character in this story? How do I give him an entire tape where you understand his sound, right? And so it started with the intro for mature, where mature is leaving a voicemail on the therapist from the first part, from Vince. He's leaving a voicemail on the therapist voicemail, and he's like going off. You know what I'm saying? And what was really intricate about this intro was it wasn't just for him to be going off and just be, beep, beep, just cussing and just being angry. What it really was him saying was like, you're trying to move me out the way as if I'm the problem, right? He's saying, because mature is the identity, the persona, the character, the rapper on stage, the person in the videos, like that's mature, right? And so mature has been this coping defense mechanism, this identity, this mask that Vince hides behind, right? That Vince puts on in order to deal with his real life, right? And so and it's crazy. I'm talking about me, right? Crazy. So it's super meta. But so you get mature, and this thing kind of coming from such an angle where he's saying, I have been the very thing protecting him, right? Like this, I may be a mask. Sure, I'm a mask, and you're trying to help him to live without this mask. But instead of making the mask be the bad guy, don't you realize that I've protected him? I've kept him safe. I had, when nobody else wanted him, I gave him the confidence. When nobody else spoke into him, when nobody else encouraged him, I was the thing that beefed him up. I made him go from invisible to being seen. I made him go from being ignored to being heard. So he's like, I am good. There's a purpose for me here. And you're trying to essentially talk to him about how terrible this mask is, and how he needs to remove me out the way, and you don't even understand my importance, right? And so mature is, yes, he's angry, yes, he's talking back on his voicemail out of anger, but it's more so the fear of even mature saying, well, who is he without me? You know what I'm saying? And what purpose and identity do I have if I'm not attached to him? So, and so it was such an intricate type of intro where I wanted there to kind of go back and forth between like voicemail rapping. Um, and then the funny part is that at the end of it, mature is like he's just snapping at the end of this voicemail. He's just going, and then the voicemail just cuts him off because it's full. So it doesn't even, you know what I'm saying, let him finish. And it was super funny because when I thought of doing that, I was like, I was trying to think like, how do you end it, right? How do you end it? And so I'm like, I thought about people in relationships and how, you know, guys, females, they be cussing you out on your voicemail and you ain't this and you ain't that, how you just go. And I'm like, I know there has to be times when like somebody is just ranting and the voicemail just cuts them off because it's like this message is too long or the inbox is full. You know what I'm saying? And so I thought that was super funny. So I used that as a way to end the intro and just to kind of dig, you know, at the character. Like he's going off, he going off, he going off. The voicemail that you're talking to is full, you know, and so it was funny intro, man. It was a good tongue in cheek kind of thing. Um, but then we get in, but then we kind of get into the album, and the difference that I wanted to make with Vince and with Mature was, you know, Vince kind of lended himself to a more a centered, retrospect, inner, you know, kind of reflective state of music, whereas Mature is like, no, I'm the one that get us turned. This album, my album gonna be hype. It's gonna be up. It's gonna be, you know what I'm saying. We this is what I'm. This is how I'm getting him through. Right. He already talked about the pain and all the other stuff. I'm gonna talk to you about the coping. This is what I'm here for. And so you get a lot of more up songs on this album. You get a lot more up songs, and in hindsight, a lot of people were saying like, "Man, I love the Vince album because of how deep it is, more than they love the Mature album." And I think the Mature album sometimes get underrated or underplayed because the Vince album is so deep. It's so there's so many just there's so much meat on that bone over there. And I think that the meat on this bone for the Mature album is it's a different seasoning. You get what I'm saying? And so you can easily just get lost in the fact that, oh, the music is up. Oh, this is just hyper music. This is just turnt music. This is just club music. This is just and not take into account that this is all of Mature's coping habits. This is all of Mature's. This is the mask. This is you get what I'm saying? Like this is how I am getting through. This is the public image. Whereas I just gave you the inner version. This is the outer version that other people see. This is what is presented before people. And so that was the give and take. Was I knew I was not going to have as much deep music on the Mature album because I wanted it to be like Mature kind of is going off on his own binge, right? It's kind of like Vince has talked to the therapist, and then by the time you get to the end of it, you're like, okay, this is dope. He's had some reflection. He's had some retrospective look into his own life. Okay, cool. But then when the Mature album starts, you don't hear Vince on the voicemail. You hear Mature. Mature has taken over, and he's called the therapist now. And he's like, "No, I'm in control. You've been trying to get rid of me. You've been the person that you all this help and self help you've been doing with him. That's getting rid of me. No, now I've taken over. Let me show you what I'm about." And so that's where we get into the more lit, lively portion of this album. And so then we get into track number 2, The Art of Breakups. A song that is it it lends itself to, like, you know what I'm saying, real life. And that's the thing too, is there's real life stories in the Mature version. You get what I'm saying? There's some retrospection and there's some deep um inner workings on this album. It's just done in a different taste and light, so it's not as upfront as the Vince album. But with Art of Breakups, this is Mature saying, "Hey, bro, I was here for you when you were this, when you were nothing, when you were going through." Now, the song itself lends itself to sounding like it's a relationship, right? Talking about breaking up with somebody, talking about how, hey, I loved on you, I did this for you, and now I'm breaking up. You know, we're breaking up, and it hurts and it sucks, and this is the art of breakup, right? There's no form and art to breakups. Anyone who knows and been in a relationship, more than one relationship, you will know that breaking up is not easy, right? It's not. There is no formula for it, right? There's no. Oh, I'm just. Every time somebody breaks up, it just feels ugly, right? It never. It's so rare you hear about I guess simple or non difficult breakups. You know what I'm saying? Like the breakups can be very messy. They can be very ugly. They can be very difficult. They can be very hard. And so that's why I call it the art of breakups. Because mature is saying, I wish there was an art to a breakup. I wish there was a way that you could, divorce yourself from somebody and it be simple and it be easy. But he's also saying at the same time, but remember what I did for you. So while you're trying to split us apart, while you're trying to split the man from the mask, remember what this mask has done for you. Remember the role I played in your life. Remember how I got us from point A to point B. And so now you're just trying to, tear us apart. And so again, this is the identity and the character trying to reason itself with Vince. And so you get the art of breakups, which a lot of people have told me over the years that this was a critical song for them, which was kind of, again, it's interesting because I write from like just the purest forms of my life. I try to write from the I try to take some of the coreness of my real life and add that musical element to it, but then try to give something that somebody else can understand or relate to. And so for people to be like, man, this song helped me through my own breakup, or it helped me through a tough time, or it helped me through, a relationship ending, whether it was, romantic or not. To hear those kind of things, it's like, man, that's dope because the way it applies to me is so different than how it applied to somebody else. And so to just hear that is just um it's always a badge of honor as an artist when you just have people who say I connect or I resonate with this song for this reason or that reason, or man, I took this away from the song, or the song helped me get through. Because I feel that way, right? One of my favorite artists today is Big Crit. And like his music, a lot of the things he's talked about, man, I've sat there in my car and just been like, this man, he's saying every single thing that I am feeling. I've been in that place, and so to have it sometimes come back around to me and my music, it's just like, man, it's mind blowing and it's comforting because it lets me know that I'm writing stuff that matters, right? I'm writing things that actually are helping people, or I'm writing things that are um, they're important to me, and then they become important to somebody else, and that's always super dope. Track number 3 is Razor Ramon, and again, Mature is coming into he starting off the album. He's coming into it trying to express his own feelings about the situation of Vince being in therapy and trying to master his inner thoughts, his inner self, and this mask that he's been wearing in front of people. And now that he's saying, "Hey, I want to reintroduce myself," like on the Vince album, the reintroduction, when he's saying, "I need to show people who I really am, and I have to reintroduce people to me because I've been wearing the mask in front of them. I've been doing the mature in front of them, and now I'm going to show them just Vince." And now Mature is saying like, "Hold on, you trying to break up with us? Like, remember it was me who even got these people to like you, or it was me who got these people to listen to you, or it was me who got you in the rooms, or why don't just try to act like they gonna like Vince all of a sudden." And so Razor Ramon is him saying, Razor Ramon for me, one of my all time favorite wrestlers, Razor Ramon. Rest in peace, aka Scott Hall. Um, Me being a huge wrestling fan, I'm always finding ways to incorporate, and if people who listen to my music will catch that there's a lot of wrestling references in my music or titles. And so Razor Ramon was such a, like, man, it was really on the nose for what the, I guess, the embodiment of what mature is trying to really get across, because in the song it talks about, you know, everybody says that I'm the bad guy, but you know, every hero has to have a bad guy, you know. Be a hero or you turn into the bad guy, right? And so he's saying, like, listen, you know, Razor Ramon was obviously a bad guy and a heel in wrestling. And so he's saying, like, everybody needs a bad guy. Every fairy tale has to have a bad guy. You can't have a fairy tale with a Prince Charming and a this and a that. You can't have it without a villain. You can't have it without a bad guy. You know, and even if you're the hero, if you're the hero too long, you eventually become a bad guy. There's so many things about bad guys that are just pre-notioned as, like, oh, this is bad, right? And so he's like, but you need the bad guy. How do you have the hero without the bad guy? How do you can't just have one without the other. So while you're off trying to do better for yourself and you're off trying to heal yourself and deal with all this trauma and deal with all this, that means you have to have a bad guy. And so you can say that I'm bad, but I'm actually necessary. You know what I'm saying? As they would say, necessary evil. And so it's a great way and a great perspective, but it's also, I was again leaning and turning it, um, I guess, um, trying to apply it again to relationships where people will label you the bad guy of their story. You know what I'm saying? Whether, and again, this is following breakups, right? So now that you done broke up with somebody, or somebody then broke up with you, the first thing that, when the rumor mills get to going around about what happened, you're typically, somebody's the bad guy. Somebody has to be the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? So if she broke up with him, it's because he was the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? And then she breaking up with him, to him, she's the bad guy, right? So everybody has to have a bad guy, you know, die a hero or you turn into the bad guy. And I learned that from a very, very bad guy, which obviously was Razor Ramon, because he would say, you know, the bad guy. He would always, you know, say that and stuff. So it was a play, obviously, on the wrestling. It was a play on relationships. Um, and it is super easy sometimes to just, I would say, I guess I want to say, it's super easy sometimes to just think of a concept for a song and write the, like, bare minimum for it, right? And not really have the depthness of, like, why this song matters. And so even in the playlisting of it, it's like, after a breakup, you do start to tell the story of the breakup, which then somebody becomes the bad guy. And so this has to come right after. And then it makes sense, because if he's saying, if you're going to break up with me, you know, if you're going to say that this mask that you've been putting on for people is a bad thing or the bad guy to why you couldn't be your authentic self, understand that that's still a necessary thing that you needed. And I'm going to remind you that everybody needs a bad guy, right? So while you're trying to be good, remember that in order for you to even want to try to be good, you needed something bad to revolt against. And I'm still important because of that. Um and so that's track number 3. Track number 4, Pippin. It's, you know, it's crazy. This was one of those beats that had a beat switch in it, and I've kind of fallen in love with beats that have beat switches, because I like the duality of two different vibes, right? I like the Being able to kind of have this vibe and you riding that, and then halfway through the song or a quarter into the song or whatever, it just kind of switches to a different vibe. And sometimes it goes back, sometimes it'll switch again. But I love it because it kind of feels like you can do more than one song in a song, right? And then it also feels like you can have a range of emotion for a song, right? So it's kind of like your song is going through waves of emotions. So you can start off sad, then get hype, and then get back sad, or you can be sad and then hype, and then just out your mind. Like there's so many, and so in one song you can do like ranges of emotions, ranges of thoughts, all type of stuff like that. And I just like I've been kind of tapping more into some beats with beat switching and stuff like that, just because I like the experimenting of the music like that, and playing with the music like that. So this was kind of one of those ones where Pippin had a certain vibe going into it, and then it kind of switches towards the end. And I like that. As soon as I heard it, I was like, we're gonna write to this. I'm gonna write to this. We're gonna write to this. And so Pippin is super dope because Pippin is Mature's way of saying, and again, Mature starts off this album trying to justify his position, because again, by the totality of events, he realizes, oh, he wants to make a change. Oh, he's trying to find himself, and I don't really have a place in this new him. So he's like, I have to justify why you still need this mask. Like, even if you not gonna wear me every day, just don't throw me completely away. So you do get this song like Pippin, where he's saying even MJ needed Pippin. He didn't win a ring until he had Pippin. You can't just think because you trying to be MJ now, like, oh no, you still need Pippin. Okay, don't try to act like you don't need Pippin. And so he's showing like, hey, I'm this sidekick that you need in order to win, to move forward, to be successful. You can be Michael Jordan. Shoot all the shots. Be as vulnerable as you want. Be as open as you want. Be as transparent as you want. Give yourself to the people as much as you want. But know that you still need me in order to win completely, because I bring things to the table that have gotten you and I to a certain place. And so you still need Mature. Even if you want to be all 90% Vince, 99% Vince, you still need that 1% Mature. And so he's saying like, hey, what better sidekick to compare myself to, or to get you to understand, by saying um, Michael Jordan, Pippen. You know what I'm saying? So that was that song. Super, super kind of fun song actually. Um, I think in the beat switching, I think I like the second half when the beat switches just a tad bit more than the first half. But then that first half is nice. I don't know. You guys let me know down in the comments. Listen to Pippin. You tell me, what do you like? Do you like the first half of Pippin, or do you like the second half of Pippin? I think the second half of Pippin is not as long, but I do like the vibe of the second half of Pippin. But moving on. Number five. Number five. I used to like when they do that on the radio. Number five. Um, Number five is Thanos, and Thanos is featuring Leona Love. Shout out to Leona Love. Um, she is an artist from the South. She is a part of Turn Up Industries, which is ran by another artist, another female artist, Lyric Bell. Shout out to Lyric Bell. Lyric Bell is from Pontiac. And so that's Leona Love is her artist, and Lyric Bell and I have been, we've been locked in for quite some time. And my thing is, I always like to give people opportunities, right? And so I had heard a few songs actually of Leona Love, and I was like, hey, she is dope. I like her style. I like her voice, her cadence. I rock with her, and so um, I wanted to really. A lot of times, we give male rappers, right? Male rappers a lot of focus and attention, right? And there are a lot of female like singers, rappers, and all type of stuff that they are super dope. And shout out to all the female rappers. Shout out to all the female singer artists. All that. Shout out to them. Because it's not as easy to command the attention, the respect, the and to have just the gumption. You know what I'm saying? To be in the same space with so many male artists and be on that same like bring that same level of energy and that same level of dominance on the mic, and it can be very intimidating. And there are so many female artists that are out there killing it and doing it, and you see it even in the mainstream how dominant the female artists are, that they literally are really running the industry at this point. Of course, you have your Coles, your Kendricks, your Drakes, but I mean, you just as many male artists that are on top right now, you have just as many female artists right there. You know what I'm saying? So my thing was always trying to give artists opportunities, especially ones who haven't been heard, ones who haven't had opportunities to just be on projects. And so for her to be from the South and to give her a chance to be on my project up here in the North, and have her voice be heard and stuff like that by people, by a new audience of people, you know what I'm saying, who may not have heard of her. It was super dope to give her a chance, to give Lyric Bell, do a feature with Lyric Bell, to do a feature with Vanessa B. It was just like giving these female artists a chance to be on these tracks. And that was, to me, that was cool. You know what I'm saying? Even I gave Black fucking Barbie. She got a verse on her. Rah rah. She got a verse on this album. Like multiple talented female artists that I just have a high respect for. And so doing Thanos with Leona Love was super super dope. She definitely brought it on with her verse. And I love how you know Mature is going through this state where he's kind of pleading for his place in his spot, and then you get Thanos with Leona Love, you get God Mode with King Sizzle, and the back to backness of it is now he's putting on his Infinity Glove, right? You know what I'm saying? Because he feels like he's pleaded so much. And the thing with me when I was writing this is there is a very I don't even want to say arrogance, but there's a pridefulness, maybe I guess arrogance, a confidence. There's just a boldness to Mature that just me as a person, I'm just not naturally like that. You know what I'm saying? I could be very shy, I could be very chill, I could be very reserved. And Mature is kind of just like, bro, we walk in the room, we kick down doors, people know our name. You know what I'm saying? So after him pleading, art of breakups and Razor Ramon, he's pleading and stuff like that. Pippin, he's trying to say how important he is. Then he kind of puts the Infinity Glove on with Thanos, right? And then he goes into track 6 with God Mode, and he's like, "Look, I'm taking over. I've been nice. I've been trying to talk to you. I've been trying to plead my case. Now I'm taking over. Okay, now it's time for me to step up. Ain't nobody messing with us. I'm in God mode. You know what I'm saying? Like, move out the way." And so you have that, and then so track 6 we got God mode with King Sizzle, and me and King Sizzle we go way back. Shout out to King Sizzle. We go way back, way back to both of us were in Christian hip hop. That's where we both met. We both transitioned out of Christian hip hop. King Sizzle actually is back into Christian hip hop. Shout out to him and Dre Breezy. They both been collabing and doing a lot of good stuff. I got a lot of dope artists over there in Christian hip hop from Marcus Anthony and Dre is Blessed and um K Fire and so many super dope artists over there that I rock with, who I still support. They are doing great work. You know what I'm saying, for the kingdom, and so shout out to them. Um, in their circle, and King Sizzle at this time had not yet transitioned back to Christian hip hop. And so we did this song God Mode. He brought a fire verse. King Sizzle is always, I always like working with him because he had, when we perform together, first off, when we perform together, it's easy, right? We just click and sing. We've been doing this so long together. When you kind of got a running partner that you've been doing it with for so long, it's like we didn't did shows together, we didn't went on tour together. When you kind of got that rhythm with somebody, like doing a song is kind of like just walking. Like it's just easy. We don't even. I wrote a song, give me a verse. You know what I'm saying? He have it by the next day. You know what I'm saying? Or that day. Like it's super easy. And so we knocked that song out. And shout out to him because again, with Vincent Mature, he helped me with the mixing for both of these albums. He helped me with the mixing. He helped me so much behind the scenes with this album. So shout out to him for not just the work he did on this song, but a lot of the work that he did behind the scenes with the mixing and the mastering, and really just helping me kind of develop this sound for this album. As far as just helping me with the engineering portion of it, and I super appreciate him. Then we get into Puppet Master with Rah Rah. And so now, Mature is kind of being, he done went in Thanos mode, put the fitted glove on, now he in God mode. And he's saying, like, listen, I'm the puppet master. Listen, you not about to get rid of me. Ain't no. I'm in control. Puppet master. Puppet. Like, this has worked. This has been this way. We go keep it this way. And at the same time, breaking, it was also a song where I was trying to define myself of saying, listen, I'm not going to be a slave to people's pulling my strings. You know what I'm saying? There's so many times, man, in life where people will try to dictate and determine what they think is best for you, what they want to see you do, what they think is right, what they think is wrong, what they think, and people will just kind of just puppet you. You know what I'm saying? Your whole life. And for me, it was also kind of speaking my own voice and saying, like, I'm done with that. We're not doing that. Listen, if you ain't paying my bills, if you ain't doing it, I ain't trying to listen to it. You not the puppet master. I am. I'm the puppet master. You cannot, you know what I'm saying? And so it was very much trying to establish that stance of like, listen, I have to stand for myself. I have to be in control of my own life. I can't let other people run my life for me or try to run my life. I have to be the one, you know what I'm saying, with the strings and controlling so that I don't end up being something that other people want me to be. I'm being what I want to be. I'm doing the things that are good for me, that work for me and not for somebody else. And so this is what Mature is also saying, because he's saying I'm going to do the things that work for us, for me. You know what I'm saying? You trying to go do some healing. You trying to go, you know what I'm saying, self-reflect. Nah, 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 nah. Stone Cold would say, you know what I'm saying? So, this was Mature trying to take back the reins and take back control of the situation. Then we kind of listen. At this point, Mature is in control, and he goes on. I would like to say this is the binge party turn up portion where now Mature is taking Vince on this ride of like coping mechanisms. Whether, you know what I'm saying, whether it's like, oh, we about to be at the club, we about to be at the bar, we about to be drinking, we about to get some home. Like this is him saying, I'm taking you on this journey of what has been working, right? What we're used to doing, what we're used to getting, how we're used to being. And I'm going to remind you of why this works and why you don't have to go self-reflect and do the healing and deal with the trauma. let's do all this stuff over here. So we get into that portion of the album where you have Run It Up with my homeboy Dewan Lito. Um, Dewan Lee, man, this was one of those songs. I got a chance at the season opener. Shout out to Overdose Productions. That was one of their major concerts that they threw. Season opener 3. I got a chance to be one of the main attractions. And me and my homeboy Dewan Lee, man, we got a chance to perform this song together. And this was super special for me because um, Dewan Lee and I have grown up since, man, I think second grade. Um, and we've been friends for almost most of our lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, over 30 plus years. So, I think since first grade, I think we were what, 5? I'm 35, so 30 years. Maybe we were 4. So 31, 32 years. I mean, we've known each other our entire life. And this is my brother. You know what I'm saying? This is my brother. His family is my family. You get what I'm saying? Like we've grown up. We have he has a son, I have a daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like we've just seen so much of life. You know what I'm saying? Together. That's my homeboy. And so for us, but we had for all the years, he started rapping before I did actually. He was rapping in like 5th grade, 4th, 5th grade or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And he inspired me to want to rap. And he recorded my first song ever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like so much of my music history is tied in with Dewan Lee, and so much of his is vice versa. So out of all the years we've done music since I think we recorded our first songs like I had done some on like tape, like cassette tape. Anybody ever seen a cassette tape in the last 20 years? Listen, putting my vocals digitally on wax, as they say, and then putting it on CD. Okay, it's even really aging myself here. From cassette tape to CD, you know what I'm saying? It's like we've done music for a long, long time. Like again, over 20 something years, me and him have been doing music. We've never performed together ever. Like ever. Ever since we were kids. My first song I think he recorded I was like 15 or 16. That was the first time I had one, like recorded a song on Pro Tools and had it on a CD. You know what I'm saying? I did a whole mixtape with my one of my homeboys, my childhood friends, um, when we were like 13, 14 or something like that. But it was on tape. It was on cassette tape. So, um, to to do music for almost over 20 something years, we had never performed together. He had performed his own, I had performed on my own. We had never performed together. We had done songs together, and even that was like one or two songs, you know what I'm saying, over this entire time. And at the season opener 3, 20, when this album came out, um we got a chance to finally perform this song together. And it is one of the most memorable moments I have in my life. Because this is somebody who I consider family. This is somebody who I have been on this musical journey with. We've talked for years. You know what I'm saying? About certain milestones. Just like, man, wait till we go on tour one day. Wait till we just would we wanted people to even just hear our music. Like having people listen to my music was a goal when I was 15. You know what I'm saying? It was just me and him rapping in his closet, you know what I'm saying, for the booth, and being like, man, I hope one day people just listen to my stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like this is so For me and him to even be on stage in front of a crowd of people who know the words to this song, chanting it as we rap it, it's like this was our life's dream right here. This was the goal of everything we had worked towards for over 20 years, from kids to grown men. Like, this is what we had always wanted to accomplish, was being on stage in front of a crowd in unison doing a song that we wrote together. And Run It Up was such a popular song off the album, and to have a crowd chanting it and to be on stage across from my brother and be doing this song after 20 years of work, grinding, traveling, to be able to do that, man, um, it meant so much. It was um the I guess it was like the climax of two young kids' journey. You know what I'm saying? If if we never do that again, or if we never, what I'm saying, like, do a bigger BET stage or something crazy, like, if we don't ever do it, that to me will still be a defining moment. That still is, that's a victory in my book. That's a successful moment. To be 13, 14, writing raps on paper with your best friend, just dreaming of being able to hear it play back. And then you get to that part. Then you get to one day I'm gonna have an album. And you get to that part. And then when you say one day I'm gonna perform, or one day people go listen to it, and then you get to that part. And then you say one day I'm gonna perform, and you get to that part. And then you say, we go do I'm gonna do a tour, and you do that, and then you keep accomplishing things just to finally get to that point where you get on stage and you looking at each other, two grown men, and you just can say, like, bro, remember when we was kids and we wanted to, you know what I'm saying? Like, that to me, man, near and dear to my heart. Shout out to my bro, Dewan Lee, all the way out in Cali, man. Shout out to him, for such a important and integral moment that was for me personally, that I'm sure was for him. We was able to take pictures and stuff after the show, and yeah, that's etched in history. That's etched in history. After that is Prestige, the track number 9, Prestige, featuring the infamous Lyric Bell. Um, Interesting enough, this song is funny because when I played it for her in the car one day. We were driving and I played it in the car, and I had already wanted her on the song. Like, as soon as I heard the song, I knew I wanted her to feature on this one. And so I played it for her, not telling her that I wanted her on the song. Just playing for her. And she's like, "Oh my god, bro, you got to put me on this. I got to get on this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to join it anyway." You know what I'm saying? She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, it's over." So, super dope, man, that we got a chance to do this song. It's crazy. I actually did this song as a dedication song. Um, it was kind of a giving the flowers, as they would say, to my homeboy Prestige. Shout out to my homeboy Prestige. He was I will always say he is the person who literally gave me a place and a platform and a space and a recognition in Pontiac. And when it comes to Pontiac, me and Pontiac have such a deep love, and they've supported me in so many ways. I've supported them in so many ways. It's such a just, it's a bond there. But I would not have that without Prestige. He was the person who, took his reputation, took his name, took his notoriety, and he put the stamp on me. You know what I'm saying? Him, shout out to Ray Love, the two of them together at NTP. Shout out shout out to the whole NTP family, like them two being the host of the open mics there, they put the stamp on me. You know what I'm saying? And prestige in such a way that even past that moment, there's still I took some time away from music and was gone for a while. When I came back and even tried to break back into that Pontiac scene or come back to that fan base, like he reeled me back in. You know what I'm saying? And again, re-stamped me. You know what I'm saying? Like so shout out to Prestige, man. If you get a chance to watch this, bro, I appreciate you. And so I did this song for him. I did this song for him. His name Prestige because of him. And Lyric Bell, she has the exact same type of story about Prestige. Anybody who knows Prestige has that same story about Prestige and just about how loyal, how dedicated, how much there's so much respect. When Birdman talk about put some respect on my name, there's a lot of respect on the name of Prestige because of the person he is and how he moves. And doing a song like Tay Time for a friend of mine who had passed, it only and that wasn't even the original concept, but it only felt right to do a song about giving flowers to somebody who was still with me. You know what I'm saying? Before they would be a Tay Time getting their flowers. Now that they're gone, it was like this is flowers for somebody who is still here. You know what I'm saying? Who deserves to hear me say like you were such a huge impact on this music thing, bro. You get a shout out personally. So shout out to Prestige, shout out to Lyric Bell. Again, one of the popular songs off the album. We crushed it, did the thing there, and knocked it out. Number 10 is Slide featuring ODP Nasty and my homeboy Titty Boy Nate. Both of them under the Overdope, Overdope production, along with Nirvana Nash. So shout out to those fellas, Prestige as well. So shout out to them. Slide was such a dope song, bro. I wanted to do a song with ODP Nasty. I wanted to do a song with Titty Boy. Why not put them two fellas on the same track? You know what I'm saying? And we like the song is called Slide, but we slid on that boy. You know what I'm saying? We slid on that boy. We had a really good time recording that, man. And both fellas just Titty Boy Nate, ODP Nasty, they just so unique artists. You know what I'm saying? It's really hard to even explain these two. I mean, honestly, like ODP Nasty has so much range as far as his ability musically, and Titty Boy Nate has such a diverse sound as far as the beats that he used, the music he makes. I'm talking chef's kiss to being different. You feel what I'm saying? Chef's kiss to being different. So shout out to him and bringing them together on this hype track was super dope, bro. We was on there talking and stuff. So one of my favorite songs, personally, is Slide. Track number 11, Freak Out, featuring Vanessa B and Black effing Barbie. These two ladies are two individuals who I work with personally. I have recorded them and engineered for them. I've helped with their with their artistry development and stuff like that. And it's been so dope to see them grow since this album in 2022, to see where they both are in 2024. It's super dope to have seen them both grow so far in just 2 years, but to go back, there was already something there. You get what I'm saying? And both of these ladies are, I can't stress enough how proud of them that I am to see them have worked so hard, put the time in, put the dedication in, have such a unique raw talent. And it was like, man, I had to give them an opportunity on my album to be heard because I knew, like it is now, 2 years later, that they were going to be exactly who they're going to be. So it was like, yeah, people need to hear you now because they don't even know what's coming down the pipeline. And so, shout out to Vanessa B. She put out her first project, Rich Beats Music. Shout out to her. That project's super dope. She worked so hard on that. And so when it came to Freak Out, I was like, listen, ladies, I need a verse. You know what I'm saying? We working on stuff for their project, we working on stuff, and I'm like, I need a verse. I need you to show up. So both ladies came through crazy verses, crazy energy. Actually, I got a chance to perform this with Vanessa B. We got a chance to perform this live. The energy, the crowd was with it. It was live. She did her thing, and to see them both now, 2024, 2 years later, just shining, just like on Auntie's house, doing shows, with doing competitions with hell of a like, just to see them so successfully growing, spreading their wings, having so much more confidence in themselves. Again, this was what it was about: giving these ladies opportunities, showing these the talent of these young, beautiful black women and artists, and showing like, listen, this is what's coming. You know what I'm saying? For all the years that I put in, this is what's next, and I'm so glad that they both have trusted me with their music, both have trusted me with their brands, their development, and then allowing me to take everything that I've learned and everything I've worked towards and pour it into them, and to see them then take that, use it in their own way, and become these super dope female artists that have just continuously grown their name over the few years. So shout out to them. Shout out to Freak Out. And then the last track number 12, the final song, Paradise. Um, Man, featuring Paris Simone. Um, man, listen, Paradise is an interesting song because Mature starts off pleading, right? Well, he starts off angry. First off, intro, he starts off pretty angry. Then you have him pleading for his position, right? You have him pleading for his position. And then you get into him taking over and just turning up and being like, look, we about to have a freak out. No, didn't. We about to have, you know what I'm saying? We about to get lit, all type of stuff. And then Paradise hits. And Paradise is almost, oh, man, it's so hard to, I guess put it in a way. Paradise is both Mature and Vince voice in the same song, because Paradise is saying, I went after everything that I thought would make me happy. I went after everything that I thought worked for me. I went after everything that I thought paradise would be, and I realized I made a mistake. I realized this doesn't work. This doesn't fulfill me. This doesn't really help me. And it's Vince. It's Vince saying it, because Vince is saying like, I let Mature lead me here. I let him take the reins, because he did have some truth to his statements in the beginning, and so I did let him run roughshod, but it's still not working. I still got the trauma. I still got the scars. I still got the stuff I want to work on. I think we made a mistake. And then Mature is saying, hey man, I just, we did this, we got lit, we got turned, we had to freak out and blah blah. But I think I made a mistake. I don't think this works either. You know what I'm saying? I think this I gave us paradise and it wasn't paradise. And so I think it's kind of like both of them coming to the realization that even if you go after everything you want, you do it your way, you have it, you feel what you want to feel, you chase that, you still arrive at a place where it doesn't work and it's not enough. And that's paradise. And so um Paradise ends the album, um because I think it was a great way to bring them both together at the end and say, I think we made a mistake. We might not have, we both thought, you know what I'm saying, this is the way that we should do it, and it didn't work. And so, it was a great way to kind of bring that Vince tone that was on that album back around to the end of the Mature album, so that at the end, you're saying, in the beginning, you're saying Vince is going to seek for help. halfway through, which is the beginning of Mature, Mature is trying to fight for his place. You have all this stuff, and then boom, at the end, they both realize there has to be more than just the fantasy paradise that they think will make them both happy or satisfied. And so that's Mature. That is the Mature
Fatality.
album. Slay, fatality, finito, done. Um, I have enjoyed talking about this double album, man. This double album meant so much to me. It was at such a pivotal, critical moment in my life, where I was going through so much internally, and just writing about everything that I spoke on in this album was so um it was so releasing, it was so freeing. And then to see that not only people, some of my best songs will come from this album. It was an album that was critically recognized as an album of the year when it dropped in 2022, which um again, you go back to that 14, 15-year-old kid writing in his notepad, you know what I'm saying? Like, hoping one day I just have, this important music. And to have people give me a album of the year recognition for this album, again, on top of everything else, it's just like, man, it was such an accomplishment. It was such a win. Um, but it was also at a place where I was in my most broken and my most vulnerable state emotionally and mentally. And they say, hey, they say the best pain make the best music. But it was dope knowing that there were people who were touched by the album. There were people who the album helped, or that it was there for them in their own way. So you know what I'm saying? It was just like, to take my own pain and then allow it to be something that helps somebody else. Is like, man, that's the bigger picture right there. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of great collabs, man, from, again, Overdope Production, Nirvana Nash, ODP Nasty, Titty Boy Nate, Rah Rah, Lyric Bell, Leona Love, King Sizzle, um Featurely, just so many features from so many dope artists that I was so glad to work with, who all brought, what I'm saying, their own flavor to every song. It was just, it was a special album. It really was. It was a special album. It's one of my nearest dearest albums that, to this day I could put it on and just be like, that's crazy. We did this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we did this. This is crazy. Um, and so yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's super dope. Love this project. I hope you guys enjoy it. Drop down in the comments if you let me know what your favorite song is. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. Come back, then let me know what your favorite song is. Let me know which album you like the most. Do you like Vince? Do you like Mature? Do you like them both? Which one do you pick? You gotta pick one. Don't do the I like them both. You know what? Let's not take that one off the map. Vince or Mature? Which one do you like? And then also listen. Thank you again, guys, for supporting this podcast. The Not Very Mature podcast is such a hype podcast that people love. Doing these other podcasts to try to give the network, the branding of the network, more content. You don't know, you know what I'm saying, who's gonna like it, who's gonna listen to rap in depth breakdowns, right? And to see the response, to see the views, to see the comments, and have people that really are engaged in this podcast particularly, it's super dope. And I appreciate you guys for listening and supporting this project. You can find Vince Mature on all music streaming platforms, just like you can find this podcast, the Rap-Ology podcast, under the umbrella of Maturity Productions Network, which that's what you want to look up if you're listening to the podcast. The Maturity Productions Network. That is home to all these podcasts like Rap-Ology, Not Very Mature, Hit Your Finisher, so many other podcasts. That's what you want to look for. The Maturity Productions Network on all podcast streaming platforms. Spotify, Apple, Deezer, iHeart, you name it, it's there. And if you are listening or watching us again on YouTube, I appreciate you for being in this space with me here on YouTube, where you need to like, you need to subscribe, you need to notify, you need to multiply, you need to divide, you know. You need to be a part of this brand. And so if you have not become a subscriber, become a subscriber. What are you doing? Like, don't just eat from the table. Wash the dishes. Become a subscriber and enjoy so much content. Whether it's the podcast, whether it's the movie, like House of Tea, the movie, whether it's the series, Die for This, season 1 and 2, check that out. Check us out on YouTube at Maturity Productions. You can follow me, follow your mans. Check me out on social media at Maturity_Productions on Instagram, Maturity Productions on Facebook, and that's it. I appreciate you. I love you guys. Thank you so much for another episode of Rap-Ology. There will be so much more Rap-Ology coming. So many more independent artists whose albums we're going to be breaking down. I got more stuff to break down on my own. You stay tuned, and I'll keep bringing the content. Until next time, guys. Peace.